A few days ago, I got the DJI OSMO Mobile 7 because everyone said it was the best budget gimbal on the market. $89, large battery, renewed design, improved active track. It sounded perfect, but there's something nobody tells you, something I discovered as soon as I turned it on, and frankly, it made me question whether it was worth spending that money. And watch out, because what I'm about to show you could completely change your purchasing decision. The OSMO Mobile 7 has a well-thought-out redesign. It now features an integrated tripod that unfolds directly from the body of the gimbal. This is something people have been requesting for years, and DJI finally listened. You no longer need to carry an additional tripod in your bag. You unfold it, place it on a table, and you're set. Secondly, improved battery. They promise up to 10 hours of duration. And to be honest with you, it really works. In fact, it is the gimbal in this range with the longest battery life. I have tested it by recording for several hours straight, and indeed, the battery holds up. You can additionally utilize it as a power bank to recharge your phone. The capacity is 1260 mAh, which may not be a substantial amount, but in an emergency, it can help you out of a predicament if your phone is running low on battery while you are recording. Thirdly, ActiveTrack 7.0 is the advanced intelligent tracking system that effectively detects individuals, follows you automatically, and allows you to make specific gestures to initiate or halt recording. In short, all the technology one expects from DJI, and it works. It's not perfect, but it works. Fourth, compatibility with your phone's lenses. I really like this. If you have an iPhone with multiple cameras, you can switch between the physical lenses, for example, from ultra-wide to telephoto, without having to touch the screen. You simply use the slider and the gimbal switches lenses. This is well thought out and practical when you're recording, so does everything sound good so far? Let's get directly to the main point. The OSMO Mobile 7 possesses an extremely restricted range of motion, and when I mention extremely restricted, I'm not overstating the situation. I'm referring to a limitation so significant that it essentially hinders you from executing one of the most fundamental and prevalent movements in crane shots. What exactly is a crane shot? It is that particular movement where you initiate with the camera positioned downward, near to the ground, and then gradually elevate it while maintaining the horizon perfectly level, or vice versa. You begin by directing the camera forward and then gradually lower it down towards the ground. It is a fundamental cinematic motion that is commonly observed in nearly every professional video production. It turns out that with the OSMO Mobile 7, you are unable to perform that action. However, wait, it becomes even more problematic. You see, when you hold a gimbal, the most natural manner to hold it is with your arms slightly extended forward. It turns out that when you hold the OSMO Mobile 7 in that natural manner, the camera automatically directs itself downward towards the ground, and there is no effective method to completely correct this with the joystick because the motor has already reached its maximum operational limit. Additionally, the OSMO Pocket 3, also manufactured by DJI and priced similarly, offers a complete range of motion. The Insta gimbals, which fall within the same price bracket, also provide a comprehensive range of motion. So it's not a matter of price, it's a matter of poor design. Now, does this mean the OSMO Mobile 7 is completely useless? Not necessarily, but it does mean that your creativity will be very limited. If you are planning to do anything that involves substantial vertical movements, forget about it, you will not be able to. And this removes a significant number of creative possibilities. I've mentioned the OSMO Mobile 7's problem, and yes, it's a big issue that limits what you can do with this gimbal, but it wouldn't be fair to only focus on the negatives, right? Because the reality is that this gimbal also has good things. Some very good, in fact. Let's start with the highlights. The battery. DJI truly surpassed expectations here. The OSMO Mobile 7's battery lasts up to 10 hours. 10 hours? That's a lot. Just to give you an idea, I've recorded entire events, content sessions lasting several hours, and the battery is still there, holding up without any problem. Moreover, and I found this to be a smart detail, the gimbal functions as a power bank, which is not extraordinary, but it can save you in a pinch. Is it enough to fully charge your phone? No, but it can give you that extra 20% or 30% you need to finish your day of recording, and that's well thought out. The second thing I really liked is the integrated tripod. And yes, I know it sounds like something super basic, but it's one of those things you don't appreciate until you have it with the OSMO Mobile 7. The tripod is integrated directly into the body of the gimbal. You unfold it in just a couple of seconds, place it on a table, and you're completely set. Now, let's discuss ActiveTrack 7.0, which is DJI's Advanced Intelligent Tracking System. This innovative system identifies individuals, follows you autonomously as you move around, and now, in this updated version, it is capable of recognizing groups of individuals. You have the ability to use hand gestures to initiate or halt recording without the necessity of physically touching the gimbal. And if it's following you but you need to reframe the shot, you simply touch the joystick and adjust the position. Does it work perfectly 100% of the time? No. Sometimes it loses tracking if you move too quickly or if there are too many people in the background. However, and this is important, active track only works well if you use the app. If you attempt to utilize your smartphone's native application or any third-party application, the tracking functionality will not perform as effectively. Fourthly, lens control. If you possess an iPhone equipped with multiple camera lenses, the Osmo Mobile 7 enables you to seamlessly switch between these lenses without the need to physically touch the screen. You utilize the slider located on the gimbal, allowing you to transition from ultra-wide to telephoto effortlessly and directly. And the fascinating aspect is that it transitions between the actual physical lenses. You are not using digital zoom, so you preserve the complete image quality. This is superior to other gimbals where the zoom functionality is essentially just digital zoom, which diminishes the quality. The design of the Osmo Mobile 7 is very well done. It feels solid in hand, not like a cheap toy. The materials are high quality, the buttons feel satisfying, and everything fits together perfectly. Moreover, you are now able to keep your smartphone securely mounted in the clamp, even when storing the gimbal. Previously, it was necessary to detach the phone each time you concluded recording, which was quite cumbersome. Now you simply fold the gimbal with the phone mounted and store it that way. When you take it out again, you unfold it and it's ready to use. Another thing, the startup is quick. You literally open it and in 2 or 3 seconds it's calibrated and ready to record. You no longer need to wait for a full 30 seconds while the gimbal stabilizes and completes its process. Even though the Osmo Mobile 7 lacks the side wheel that more premium models possess, it features a slider that functions effectively, allowing you to utilize it for zooming. Well, we have arrived at the more technical segment, but do not worry, I will not overwhelm you with unfamiliar terminology or complex engineering explanations. I am going to elucidate the 6 stabilization modes of the Osmo Mobile 7 in a manner that is truly comprehensible, because this is the essential aspect to fully maximizing the potential of this gimbal. And I'll tell you something upfront. Out of these 6 modes, you'll probably only use 1 or 2 90% of the time, but you need to know all of them to understand when to use each one. Alright, let's commence with the initial ETF mode, which stands for pan and tilt follow. This implies that whenever you maneuver the gimbal towards the left or right direction, the smartphone will follow your movement. And similarly, when you adjust it upwards or downwards, the phone will also track your motion. This particular mode proves to be quite beneficial for standard recordings when you are walking and desire the camera to follow your movements naturally without tilting sideways even if your hand shifts slightly. The second mode is referred to as pan follow, abbreviated as PF. This indicates that the smartphone will track your movements whenever you maneuver the gimbal horizontally from the left side to the right side, but it will not track or follow your movements when you adjust it vertically upwards or downwards. This mode is useful when you want to keep the horizon completely steady and only make lateral movements. For example, if you are doing a horizontal panorama of a landscape. The third mode is known as FPUI, which stands for first-person view. This indicates that the smartphone will follow and track every single movement of the gimbal without exception. When you move it to the left, it follows. When you move it upwards, it follows. When you tilt it sideways, it still continues to follow. This particular mode is excellent for dynamic point-of-view recordings where you want the viewer to feel as though they are seeing precisely what you see. The fourth mode is referred to as spin shot, and this represents the creative mode of the gimbal. When you maneuver the control stick to the left or to the right, the gimbal causes the smartphone to rotate around its own axis. It is the effect that you observe in videos where the camera rotates around an object or individual. Spin shot is designed for particular moments, not for extended recordings. Just a few seconds for a transition or visual effect, and nothing beyond that. The fifth mode is the lock mode, and here the way to access it changes. You don't activate it with the M button like the previous ones, but with the trigger button located on the front of the gimbal. What does this particular mode accomplish? Essentially, it immobilizes the phone in the most recent position it was in. This mode is particularly useful when you require the camera to maintain a fixed position while you are in motion. And now, we arrive at the sixth and ultimate mode known as Sport or Sports mode. This particular mode is also activated using the trigger button, but it is done in a slightly different manner. You press the trigger button once, and then on the subsequent press you maintain your finger held down. In sports mode, the tracking velocity increases considerably. So when you move the gimbal, the smartphone reacts much faster. Well, we've reached the end. You've seen the price, the key issue with motion range, the good features that work well, and the stabilization modes. Now comes the real question. Should you spend $89 on the Osmo Mobile 7 or not? Proceed with caution, as the answer isn't just a simple yes or no. It depends on the type of content you want to create. Let's begin with the positive aspects. The Osmo Mobile is a sensible choice if your profile aligns with one of these scenarios. Firstly, if what you require is a fundamental gimbal to stabilize your videos while you are walking. Secondly, if your financial budget is extremely limited and you require something immediately. Thirdly, if you are a novice and just embarking on your journey in the realm of content creation. Fourth, if your content does not require complex movements. And fifth, if you value portability and battery life above all. The Osmo Mobile 7 is compact, has an integrated tripod, and the battery lasts 10 hours. However, now let's examine the opposite side of the coin. The Osmo Mobile 7 does not make sense if your profile aligns with any of these scenarios. Firstly, if your content necessitates creative and cinematic movements. Secondly, if you already possess experience with gimbals and fully understand what you're doing. Thirdly, if you're willing to invest a bit more for a superior product. Fourthly, if you intend to utilize the gimbal in a professional capacity or for remunerated work. There you have it, the comprehensive verdict on the Osmo Mobile 7. It is a gimbal equipped with commendable features on paper, an excellent battery life, and a competitive price point. However, it possesses a critical limitation that DJI does not mention, which significantly impacts what you are able to accomplish with it. Is it the worst product in the world? No. Is it perfect for everyone? Neither. If your use fits that niche, it might work, but if your needs go beyond that, it's better to look for something else. See you in the next video. Bye. Bye.